Get home from school, turn on my TV. Who are these friends staring right back at me? Now that we're old.
Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Jessica, and this is 90s Babies Nostalgia, where two 90s babies are having fun.
Just to be clear, we are not sponsored by nor affiliated with any of the shows, actors, channels, networks, companies that we're talking about. We just really like talking about TV. And today, the TV that we're talking about is Young Royals Season 2, Part 2.
2.
So we previously have covered all of Season 1 and the first 3 episodes of Season 2. In this episode, we are going to be covering episodes 4 through 6 of Season 2. So if you haven't listened to the others, go back and listen. And if you want to watch, go ahead, pause, watch, come back. This podcast will still be here when you're done. But before we get into it, I have a silly, goofy question for you, Jess.
Yeah.
This came about from something I was watching the other day. I don't even remember what exactly. But you know how Kesha is your hall pass?
Oh, yes. She posted a freaking thirst trap in a corset on Instagram yesterday, and I watched it 12 times.
Okay, you're getting distracted. Kesha's
Sorry, I just had to. You got me on Kesha.
Yeah,
okay, continue.
Kesha's your real life hall pass. But if you could get down and dirty with one fictional character, any medium, and it's like your hall pass, like you can only choose one and they're a fictional character, who would it be? Take your time. I can edit out blank space.
I have no idea.
I asked this of my friends last night, and some of them were like people from True Blood or other. It was just generally hot people, and I was so disappointed in them for not having an imagination.
In what way? Like, you want the person not to be hot?
No, I mean, they can be hot if you want, but it's like, are you really saying that you want to be with that character, or do you just want to be with the actor, in which case, like, that's a real person, you know?
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I don't think there's any Disney characters going through my brain.
I feel like I would go for both Eric and Ariel, but yeah. But it's a choose one.
Does it need to be a cartoon?
No, fictional does not need to be a cartoon. My answer is not a cartoon.
Okay, if I'm forced to make a decision right now, which I am, I think Cece Parikh from New Girl.
Oh, okay. Why?
Because she's like super, super loyal to all of her friends. She likes to have fun. She's really like jokey and like knows how to have a good time, but also like when she needs to be serious, because she's kind of like played as like a ditzy model, but like when she needs to be serious or like step up to have a family, like she's the one who was the working mom while the husband was at home with the kid during the show. Like, she really stepped up to be there, and I just like her energy. She's kind of like a powerhouse of a woman while being super hot.
I watched the first few seasons of that show. I did not know that she had a kid.
I have rewatched that show 3 times. It's up there on my rewatches.
All right.
How about you? Who is it? It's gonna be stupid.
What do you mean stupid?
Is it gonna be stupid?
Like, what do you mean stupid?
Just tell me.
You know, he's a very special guy. He's very unique. One would say one of a kind. You have to say his name 3 times.
Who?
Beetlejuice.
No, you would not. You wouldn't.
I think I might, for the experience. I feel like he's got a lot of different powers. He knows how to have a good time. He's there for a show, and I could, like.
But Beetlejuice over like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because she's like badass. Buffy. Oh, I was like, she's a badass. She's there for a good time, but also she's hot as shit. We're like, Beetlejuice is giving me how I felt about Frankenfurter. No, not Frankenfurter. Riffraff.
I feel like most fictional characters that you think of initially, like my second one that I thought of was Jodie Comer's character in Killing Eve. And her character is quite different than she is in real life. And she's very badass and very hot. And I am very sexually attracted to her. But like, I could get similar feelings about the actors, and I could say the same for Sarah Michelle Gellar. I feel like if I'm going to choose a fictional character, they need to have a little je ne sais quoi, you know? They need to have something that I'm not going to get from a human, and Beetlejuice has oodles of that.
This was my riffraff. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So the question is, was my answer stupid?
Yeah, low-key it was. But I don't disagree.
You don't disagree?
No, I agree. He's here for a good time. He is like very different than the actor that plays him. I understand your logic.
Thank you. My friends were all like, oh, it'll stink. Like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I have nose plugs. Like, that's not a problem.
Also, like, does he smell?
I think he's like partially decomposing. Yeah.
Says he has this canonically the scent of dirt, apples, and sand. And I feel like
Wait, that's kind of hot.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I feel like that's really not that bad. Like,
No, that's like a candle.
yeah, it really is.
Getting into Young Royals, the last half of Young Royals season 2, we want to throw in a trigger warning or content warning. We will be discussing situations that involve underage drinking, drugs, sexual content, and mild gun violence. So if any of those things are concerning to you, click away or play us on mute so we still get a listen. Up to you.
Yeah.
So first episode 4?
Episode 4.
4. Rumors are spreading around school because Felice and Ville hooked up, and Felice is like upset about it because people are like, she's just after the royalty, which is kind of fucked up because she liked him before anyway. And also Sarah and August are sexting like in between all of the various plot points in the first 15 minutes of the show, while their friends are explaining that there's going to be a St. Valentine's party, not to be confused with Valentine's Day. It's tradition at Hilarska to have this big party where they're dressed in like Marie Antoinette clothes, as they describe it, and they write letters to each other. Ville is called out at his lunch table for making out with Felice in front of Simon, and everyone is like, lad, 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 and Simon's like, fuck this. And so after hearing about it, Simone goes off and eats pizza and drinks beer on the hood of Marcus's car because we love a rebound. And Simone asks Marcus to be his date to this dance. And Marcus is like, that's not really my thing, but like, why don't you come over to mine instead? Just like, it's giving boring old curmudgeon-y man.
It really is. It really is. In the locker room, Simone confronts Ville about not giving him a heads up about Felice. And Ville's kind of like, you're being hypocritical because you're parading Marcus around, you're kissing him at school events in front of me. And Simone shares with Ville that he likes Marcus and that he just feels like Marcus really is accepting of him and doesn't want to like hide their relationship. And Ville kind of throws it back on Simone. It's like, well, you're kind of the one who can't accept me. You can't accept my family. You can't accept my position. And Simone's like, yeah, you're right. Maybe I can't.
Ville goes to Felice to apologize for making out with her and kind of explain his side. And she's like, that's kind of a lame excuse. But they decide to be friends again anyway. And he very dramatically says that he has to get over Simone because he feels like he's dying if they can't be together.
Yep. August and Sarah are lying in bed after hooking up, and Jean Olaf calls, and August answers, literally just gets out of bed butt naked in front of an open window and answers the call. And Jean Olaf is asking August like a ton of personal questions. Like they need all his social media passwords so they can like go through social media and delete anything. They ask if he's taken drugs. He's like, oh, also we're starting your 10-year plan and you're going to be enrolled in military training this fall. and confirms that he's straight. And so after all of this, August is like feeling pretty stressed. And so he takes a pill, and Sarah calls him out for taking ADHD medicine when he doesn't have ADHD. He explains that he's only doing it temporarily, even though we know from season 1 that he's been taking these meds, that he's under a lot of pressure. And he shares that he's Ville's backup with Sarah, and he asks her to the ball, and she hesitantly agrees.
Felice also wants to go to the ball with Sarah.
Yeah.
And the friends have been talking about going to the ball together anyway, so I don't know why Sarah fucking forgot that. So Sarah tells August, who has been setting up his room with candles and champagne and is actually pretty disappointed that she ain't showing up. But Marcus shows up at Simon's house. So one of them is doing all right, dressed up for the ball, dressed up like a waiter, mind you. And they go together and they dance on the dance floor. Not that Marcus wants to, but Simon's like a little bit in the eyesight of Wille. And then they go get food after a while, and Wille makes weird, polite conversation with Marcus, and then goes and has one of his 1200th panic attacks in the kitchen. And Simone finds him and is like, "What the fuck was that?" And he's like, "I get it. You don't love me anymore. Your boyfriend seems nice."
Then we get this scene at the ball where August kind of pulls Alexander aside and tells him that Wille is the one who got him expelled to protect Simone, and August was the only one who voted against Wille.
Sarah admits to August at the ball that she likes him, but she's nervous about other people knowing that they are together because of her friendship with Felice and what she saw Simone go through with Wille, with him now being the backup plan.
Simone leaves Marcus to check in with the choir, but instead of doing that, he goes out on a walk, and the choir teacher is actively looking for him. Simone finds Wille outside, and he shares that, I'm just trying to move on. Like, that's why Marcus is here. And then they literally stare into each other's eyes and are breathing into each other's open mouths, like inches away from each other's face for like 20 seconds too long. And then they kiss, and they continue to kiss until they're interrupted by Marcus calling for Simone to join the choir. As Simone's going up the stairs to get ready for the performance, Marcus sees Wille trailing up the stairs from where Simone came from. And then the choir performs the new Hilarska song about Wille.
While Simone stares at him the whole time.
Yep.
"Baby, I'm just trying to move on. Like, I just really like you so much, but I can't like you. Like, I just have to kiss you right now."
That's exactly what happened.
He really was like, "I'm over you," until Wille was like, "I get it. You don't love me anymore." And Simone took that personally.
I also don't know if Simone has ever been over Wille, but he's been trying.
Yeah. But he
Where
was
Wille
trying.
has not been trying.
He was trying until Wille accused him of having successfully gotten over him, and then he took that personally and was like, "Absolutely not. I will suck your face."
Yeah. In this episode, we learn that school has different traditions. It's not normal Valentine's Day traditions, which I have 2 notes. So they say they write anonymous letters, and the tradition ends in the masquerade ball. And one of the girls is explaining this and is like, if you guess who's writing you the letters, then you go to the ball together. That is not how it works. Everyone's just asking each other to the ball. Also, it wasn't a masquerade ball. There was no masks.
True. It was a cost. Maybe that was a subtitle thing, though.
Oh, that is giving subtitle issue. My other note is I looked it up because I'm like, maybe Sweden does celebrate Valentine's Day differently, because they have given us like Santa Lucia and other more like traditional Swedish holidays. So I was like, maybe this is factual. No, they celebrate it very similarly to Americans. They call it All Hearts Day, and they give each other treats and flowers and stuff like that. Like they don't write each other anonymous letters. Not that I thought they did, but I thought maybe they would do something differently.
Yeah. It gave Santa Lucia vibes, but then it was a school tradition. It makes sense that it was made up for the school, though, because they do have to explain it to Sarah, so she doesn't know what it is either.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, and in saying they really don't follow these traditions, also all of them are saying, why would you write a note when you should just send a nude. It's a big part of this episode is sending nudes.
Yeah. Like Kasara's like, oh, what do I write in the letter? And they're like, oh, who are you trying to get the attention of? And she's like being a little secretive. And they're like, well, the best way to get someone's attention is send a nude. And it's like, what? These are all young teenagers. Like, why are we telling them to do this?
And then in the boys' Forest Ridge common room, a lot of the freshmen are writing actual poems. And Vincent's like, why don't you just send a dick pic?
Yeah. Yeah. While Sarah's taking her sexy photos, she is in this like lace bralette situation with a robe that I'm pretty sure had like constellations or stars or something on it. And it was just a mood because it was really giving like, I'm hot and I'm growing up, but also I'm still a kid.
It's really fun watching her. This is one of those little characterizations that I think they did really well because she first receives a photo from August and he says it's her turn. And she's like, for what? And like, clearly it's something that like the whole school knows about sending nudes and how that works. But she's not someone who's done it before. And one wonders if that like is part of her being on the spectrum, but she's like discovering it for him, and it's just like really cute watching her open it.
The other gay guy that I don't remember his name, but we learned that he was gay either in I think at the beginning. Yeah, maybe. He's like constantly trying to set Willie up, and it's kind of crazy. He's like, oh, yeah, for spring break, like come with me and we'll throw parties and bring whatever types of guys you want there. Like, it's just a lot. Also, he implies that there are no openly gay CEOs. And I have to say, while it is relatively new for people in position of power to be openly gay, there are 4 current openly gay CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. So that's not even of other companies.
Do you think perhaps he meant of Swedish companies?
I guess. Maybe he meant specifically of Swedish companies. But like,
for anyone only listening, Jess just briefly put her hands over her keyboard like she was going to look up if there are Swedish CEOs that are gay, but then she was like, I don't have time.
I was going to, and then I was like, this is gonna take me.
It's not important right now. I understand your point. That was just my thought.
So without going into like, I did Google, there definitely are, but the biggest headline that comes up is the first openly transgendered CEO who is Swedish that came out in 2022. So there are openly gay CEOs in Sweden. So it's not just America, it's a thing. I didn't like that they just implied that. In the library, when they're talking about like the whole exchanging of letters, St. Valentine's Day, Maddie just casually yells, fuck the patriarchy. I love her character. I love
Maddie
her.
is me. Like, that's the character I relate to the most. She does the weirdest shit. She's the same one that did the like cleansing energy ceremony in a tunnel. I love her.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's the one who like speaks in English and doesn't really speak in Swedish, but like
she can
and still gets along with the girls really well. But yeah, her energy is so weird and chaotic, and I'm here for it.
Yeah. There's a fish scene that we get. Do y'all remember? This is one of Jess's favorite scenes. What, your second favorite scene, I think?
Second favorite scene.
Yeah. In season 1, the first time Wille comes over to Simon's place and he sees a fish and he's like, do they have names? And there's this like really like slow, sensual, like neck type, kissing type thing going on while he names the fish and like forgets their names. Marcus asks if they have names and he says, no.
Yep. He goes, no, they don't have names. I love a good callback moment.
Yeah, and it's this little hint that, like, he really don't like Marcus like that.
He doesn't. I don't know if they were trying to be secretive about sneaking alcohol into this masquerade ball or ball situation, but they're literally just, like, whipping a flask out and just, like, pouring it into their drinks. And I'm like, there has to be chaperones and teachers around, doesn't there?
There are. But I don't know, man. These kids get up to all kinds of shenanigans.
True.
It's like, this is the least amount of consumption we've seen at a party.
You know what? Accurate. Yeah.
I do love the closet lesbian storyline. So we didn't mention this in our summary, but real quick, the 2 best friends in their friend group of the girls. So there's Felice, Sarah, and Maddie. We've mentioned. And then there's also Frederica and Stella, who are in that group of 5. And early on, it's mentioned that, like, they've made out at parties before. But, like, that's just what girls do when they're drunk, is they make out with their friends. And then someone writes this really beautiful poem to Frederica but never fesses up. And Sarah's, like, noticing the way that they talk and touch and realizes that Stella wrote it for her and confronts her. And so Stella's, like, closeted pining after her best friend. And it's just, like, a really cute touch. And, like, yes, everyone in this show is gay.
Yeah, and she's like, well, I can't tell her because we still have to live together for 2 more years and it will just make things uncomfortable. It is a very good side plot that goes on.
Speaking of friendship, I love that in the moment where Wille goes to apologize to Felice and he's, like, making excuses, she, like, we know that they're still going to be friends because she is a ride or die for our little dramatic gay boy. But and she knows that she's going to forgive him, but she still does stick up to him. She says, like, so you were using me to make him jealous or to get over him or whatever. Like, either way, it sucks and you're not thinking about what this is doing to me. And I was
Well,
really
and
proud of
also
her.
it's like, you knew I liked you.
She says that repeatedly. Like, I love that she has no shame about bringing up the fact that she liked him, because a lot of people would be too embarrassed to say that.
Yeah, and she's like, you knew and you still did this. Like, she really shows that it's, like, not okay. And even though it's like, I still want to be friends with you, what you did still wasn't okay. Like, both can be true. Which feels very mature. I don't know if normal people that age would act that way, but I did appreciate it.
Yeah, Felice is one of a kind, I feel like. She's, after the first couple episodes of the first season, she really grows up. Love her. Love me some Felice down. Why does Simon just walk around in pajama pants all the time? I know he's poor, but he's not that poor. Like, he really walks around in these blue plaid pajama pants 24/7 at this rich kid school.
Yeah. You know, I'm not going to say I didn't notice, because I didn't notice, but it never bothered me that much. I was just like, oh, that's part of Simone. He likes to be comfortable, I guess. But it is weird because it's like they have uniforms and everyone is very, like, put together most of the time. So it is weird that he's just out and about in PJs.
I think they only have to wear their uniforms for events and not for regular class days, because they're definitely in class not in uniforms a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But he's walking around in, like, normal shirts and big bomber jackets and pajama pants.
Yeah.
Like, I know you're a socialist and me too, man, but this is taking it a little far.
Sure.
Speaking of outfits, I gotta touch on the girls versus the boys at the ball, because the girls, they yassified the shit out of their outfits. They had, like, cool colors in their wigs and, like, big fun gowns, and the guys just looked awful.
Yeah. And I just didn't really understand the face paint of it all.
And I couldn't even tell if that was everyone or just Wille, but then some people, like Sarah, kind of did.
Yeah.
Wille put on white ass face paint. Sarah put on, like, some white powder.
Yeah.
Wille looks the worst, hands down. He looks so bad, and I'm mad that a central makeout to their storyline involves that costume, because it pisses me off. But
Sure.
I do love that Felice has this, like, goth moment. Like, everyone's in, like, powder white wigs and colorful dresses, and she's in this big black dress with her natural hair out.
Yeah.
She really stands out.
I completely agree with you. Amanda goes, why the fuck is the choir performing at 10 p.m. after everyone's been dancing? It makes so strange.
Yeah, because you got to think at that point, everyone's been drinking, everyone's been dancing. They want to keep the vibes up. And for anyone who's ever been out dancing, you know that the minute that you don't keep the vibes up, the vibes are gone for the night. Like, I would be tired. I don't want to hear a remix of the school song an hour and a half into my, like, time. Like, but they're all clapping and having a good time, and that's great. I just think the choir should have opened the party. It would have made more sense.
I completely agree. In a normal situation, I feel like the choir would have opened the party. They wouldn't weirdly play halfway through.
So weird.
Into our quotes, while Felice and Ville are talking to each other, Ville goes, I wanted to see if it felt the way it does with Simone. And Felice goes, oh, that makes it so much better.
Yeah, she does. When Ville is talking to the other gay kid, and as you mentioned, the gay kid is like, Easter break, we can go to my family's ski lodge and have, parties and whatever. He was like saying he can get anyone for him. He was like, what are you into? Twinks, bears, Asians, Latinos? It was like so problematic and so weird.
Yep.
I thought it was like a cute line. Stella, the one pining after her best friend, says, I'd rather be secretly in love than be her ex that she hates. And then every girl makes out with her best friend when drunk. Fun fact, guys, that's how Jess realized she was bi.
Yeah. Yeah. It got to a point where I was like, I don't think that you can be straight and have kissed as many people of the same sex as I had at a not very old teenage age. That's like, this has to mean more than just casual friendship, I think.
If I want to practice kissing with my friends, then I probably just want to kiss my friends.
Yeah. Yes. Totally.
Okay, episode 5.
Episode 5.
Simon is back to sniffing Ville's sweater. Yeah, the one he stole before from the classroom. He's rubbing it all over his face, and cut with shots of Ville in the shower, just giggling like a little schoolgirl because he's so happy.
This show is so extra. I know we say it, but it just sometimes there are certain scenes that I'm like, oh, we really did that, didn't we?
At the barn, Simon walks up and tells Sarah about how he kissed Ville at the ball, and she's like, well, you can't help who you like, which is a mature take from someone in a terrible relationship. Jan Olaf is prepping the campus for the Jubilee and comes to hear the new version of the school song. And you know what he says? Stick to tradition. We're not hearing Simon's song. It's not appropriate. And he storms out of the room like a little baby throwing a tantrum, and Felice tries to talk some sense into him and is like, well, think about it as the royal family. They've been in the headlines lately, and you're going to be performing a solo right behind Ville at the Jubilee. Like, they don't want that.
Simone tells Ville his life gets harder because of him, and he's really upset that Jan Olaf took his song away and shares that the song is about Ville, which, duh.
Ville looks genuinely surprised.
Yeah, he is surprised. And you're like, obviously, who else was this song about? Not the damn school. Like, and Simone mentions that kissing at the ball was a mistake. Ville blames August because he posted the video, and Simone is upset that he didn't tell him sooner. So then after this, Simone hangs out with Rosh and Ayub, and Rosh is like, you know what? You really should report this to the police, especially now that you know who posted it. It's child pornography. There would be charges involved. And Simone's like, you know what? It's the royal family. Like, they're so protected. Like, they'll be able to get away with it. Nothing will happen.
Yeah, he kind of is seeing Ville's side, even though he's still mad. Ville, meanwhile, classic fashion, calls the queen upset about Simon's song and says, let him sing his little song. And why do I have to give a speech when Eric never had to give a speech before he came of age? And she's like, you know what? August is the backup plan, and I know you don't want that, and I don't want that, so you need to shape up for me. Do it for mommy. So then he goes to the school psychologist, where he actually finally opens up about his feelings for once. It's been 2 seasons coming, and the psychologist says, think for once about what would be best for you, not anyone else.
Felice gets a text from her mom that Rousseau got sold, and Sarah's pissed because Felice told her that she wouldn't sell Rousseau to the people that came and checked him out at the barn because Sarah didn't like them. She didn't like the way they were treating him, and so she kind of feels betrayed. She's like, you said you wouldn't go through with the sale, and so she's really upset. Shows up at August's door crying, and he comforts her.
Wille shows up at Simon's house and
Mhm.
literally sits in a car in the dark with his security team, waiting for him to get home. Once he sees him with Rosh and Ayub, he jumps out of the car and talks to him in front of them, apologizing and telling him that now he knows that August is his backup plan, and maybe that's a way for both of them to be free. And if Simon goes to the police about August, then that can't happen. But ultimately, it is up to Simon. Just think about it. Just think about it, bro.
August makes a call to his mom about selling some part of his inheritance. And Sarah tells August that it scared her when he opened up to her about being Willie's backup.
Simon opens up a dinner to his mom saying it was August who did it, and they decide they really should go to the police. So, of course, Sarah goes. Why was she even home for dinner? I don't know, because she doesn't live at home, but she was, and she goes and tells August.
Ville is in class and they're all getting ready for their book report presentation. And Simone tells Ville, you know what, I have to file a police report. And so Ville gets up, kind of because of that, but also because of the presentation and speaking in front of people. And he throws up and he misses the presentation. So later on, Simone goes to his room to check on him. And he opens up about panicking. And Ville comes to an understanding on like why Simone wants to report this. They both don't know like what's going to come out of this or happen to them as a couple. And so then they hug and they kiss and they start hooking up. And then Ville has this moment where he like kind of pushes Simone away and goes and closes the curtains. And then they continue to make out. And that is our episode.
We love a king who learns from his mistakes.
As they started making out and the curtains were open, I was like, have they learned nothing? And then when they went to the moment where he closed it, I was like, okay, he did. I'm glad it was full circle.
I love the contrast of August standing butt-ass naked in his window not long before this, and then them making sure to close the curtains, because why are they concerned? Because August is the one that filmed them, but August doesn't have to be concerned.
Yep.
So our notes, starting off from the very top, from that very first shot, I have to say, as you said, sometimes we watch the show and we're like, we really did that. But Simon shoving his sweater all over his face and smelling it is like so extra, but also like so real.
Yeah, especially for teenage level emotions.
Yeah, like when I was in high school, you know this, Jess, I was in a 4-year long distance relationship. So I would regularly have like one shirt of his or something that I would sleep in, and I would just like smell, and I definitely would like shove it in my face and be like, it smells like him.
It is very real.
Yeah, and like I'm embarrassed that it's real. But it is real. And Ville standing in the shower giggling like a schoolgirl, also very real.
Yeah, he looks so smitten.
I do that now about my hyperfixations, not even about crushes. I'm just like in the shower thinking about my little Love Island fixations and I'm giggling.
Yeah. I agree. We get the scene where Ville makes a sandwich for Simone, and it's so cute that he's like wrapping it up and he gives it to him. It's very, very cute that he's like taking care and thinking of Simone.
It's so cute because this is the beginning of the episode, right? So they made out at the end of the previous one, and the next day he's like, maybe my baby girl needs some food, and hands it over to Simon, is like, in case you didn't have time for breakfast, he just wants to take care of him. A cute little note that I saw is that Felice's locker key is on a keychain that's a pride flag.
That's cute. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, what the heck do you mean that you didn't know that the song was about you, Ville? Why are you looking so shocked when Simon says it's about you? And you're going, oh, like, are you really a himbo, huh? You're really just a pretty face. Nothing going on behind those eyes.
Well, and this is after Felice has explained to him and kind of been like, okay, think of the reasons why the royal family wouldn't want this song to be sung. Like, it's extremely personal. And like, he doesn't get it then until Simone is literally like, it is about you.
And he's heard it like 3 times, and every time Simon sings it, he makes direct eye contact with Wille.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I personally think Wille telling Simon that August leaked the video was a dumb move. Do you agree?
Dumb in the sense that it caused more drama, but also I feel like if Wille does think he has a chance with Simone and he does want to like move forward, I don't think continuing to keep secrets or hold things from him is the right way to move into that relationship and try to kind of rekindle things there. So I don't know if I think it's dumb. I understand why he did it, but also it caused a lot of problems.
See, I hear what you're saying, and I agree that they shouldn't have secrets. Why I think it's dumb is why he did it. It's the intent, because he didn't do it to not keep secrets. He did it because Simon was mad at him, and he wanted to redirect the blame. He said, actually, it's not my fault. It's all August's fault because he's the one that leaked that stupid video in the first place. And that's why the royal family cares. Which just led around to like, and you didn't tell me this before because?
Yeah.
But like, Wille hadn't told him before because he wanted to protect Simon from dealing with that whole legal situation.
Yeah.
So just commit to it, I think, at that point. Tell him when we're past, I don't know, past the drama.
Yeah. I also don't know if he ever didn't want to tell Simone. I think that was mostly the queen being like, you are not going to tell him.
I remember a conversation between Wille and Felice, I think, where because she's the other person that knows, where he says like, if I tell Simon, he's going to tell the police, and it's going to be August's lawyers against Simon, and it's just going to be worse for him. So I thought that there was some level of self-awareness, and then he just goes on and tells him anyway. So it's like, what was the point?
Yeah.
What was the point?
Drama. The show likes its drama.
That's true.
I do kind of agree with Wille. If Eric never had to give speeches, why are you giving our panic attack ridden little baby boy Wille the one thing that he hates to do and have all eyes on him? Why?
Someone get this boy a Xanax. Stat.
Yeah.
He did say Eric didn't have to until he came of age. So he did have to after he came of age. And I'm guessing Eric wasn't at the school during a jubilee because those don't come along that often. But the queen could have given a speech.
Yeah, she was there.
This is a weird little side note, but there's a scene where Ville's getting his suit tailored, and the tailor has this like cool ass bracelet with this big ass magnet and like just a million needles stuck to it so that he can very easily just stick them on. And I'm sure that everyone knows about this already if they've been to a tailor, but I'd never seen that before, and I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, it's convenient.
Yeah. Casual drop. So cute. So when Simon is first telling Rosh and Ayub about August, and he's like, I don't know that I should really press charges against him because nothing's going to happen. He gives this example of, remember when those guys whipped some freshmen a couple years ago? Only 2 of them had to pay a small fine, and there were like 9 of them who did it. And I'm sorry, a couple years ago, like not long ago, at this school that you chose to transfer to for a better education, 9 guys whipped some freshmen.
Yeah, we have problems there. And why is that a casual line? That we just, let's throw it in for the plot.
In a country that has a low crime rate.
Yeah, not at this school. I understand that Felice is telling Wille, the justification for the new song not being sung is that you've already been in the news cycle a lot.
She tells Simon.
Oh, she does tell Simon. Still, I understand the justification. However, it's the royal family. Like, they're gonna be in the news cycle regardless of... That is what keeps people interested in the royals. Like, they purposely, put out non-news about the royals so people feel like they have a connection to them. Like, they're gonna always be in the news cycle. There's no way they're avoiding that. I get that she's saying like maybe bad news, but it's like people are going to talk.
Yeah, I think it's really the bad news thing. It's like what separates the royals from any other celebrity is like, you know, no press is bad press. It doesn't really apply to the royals the way that it does like the Kardashians, you know.
Sure.
They have to seem above and it's more scandalous.
Yeah.
I gotta say, okay, Sarah and Felice start fighting in this episode. It goes into the next episode. They're having their problems, right? It's about Rousseau. Sarah's really upset because Felice promised her that she wasn't going to sell to this family. And we've seen Felice put it off. And then when it comes to a head, she's like, I have no power. Like, you know how my family is. Like, what was I going to do? And I get that. But also, then why did you promise? Like, why did you promise that? And to a person that we already know has a harder time understanding the nuances between right and wrong and true and false, why would you promise that you would tell your or like stop your family from selling the horse to that family if you didn't have any power and you knew that all along?
Yeah, and if you did promise it, then at least try. Like, at least if we saw her try and then she went to Sarah and was like, I tried and I can't do anything about it. But it's
Yeah.
like she doesn't even try.
Instead, we see Sarah repeatedly asking her, hey, did you talk to them yet? And she's like, no, you know how they are. I'm waiting till they're in a good mood.
Yeah.
I just didn't love that. Like, I did think Felice was a bit in the wrong. But also, it's not Sarah's horse, so.
And I understand the girls make comments where they're like, what did she expect you to do? Continue to pay for a horse just so she can take care of it? Which I'm like, I kind of get it, but.
But no, she just doesn't like those people.
Yeah. Yeah. They're working on the book project like earlier on in the episode before the presentation. And the teacher comes over and is like, oh, so what's the major dilemma in this book? And they are talking about the book, but instead of talking the book, Wille and Simone are just going back and forth about what the dilemma between them two is the whole time. And the teacher's like, this is really great. Keep up the work. Looking forward to your presentation. And I'm like, did she really not catch any of that? Like, did she not know?
The writers intentionally used a book that is very similar because it's like an autobiographical fiction novel about a teacher with like strong Christian morals realizing she's in love with her female best friend. And so, yeah, they're going back and forth about like traditional values and crisis of faith and stuff like that. So it's like the writers did it on purpose, but also it goes on for so long. They're talking for
so long.
Like I didn't even listen to this scene because I'm just like, I get it. Like I know what the show's about. Like I don't need to hear all of this.
Yeah. What hot take do you have that's going to make me mad?
I wrote this as a note. I have a hot take that's going to make you mad. Just ask me what it is. And so my answer to you is that, like, I think Sarah and August are a more interesting couple than Simone and
Oh, completely
Wille.
disagree.
I didn't say just a better couple. I said more interesting.
Yeah, I'm just at the point in my life. I'm turning 30 this year. I don't have time for toxic personalities. I don't have time for toxic energy. And they are just toxic. And so
Jessica,
I just don't find that interesting. That is not fun for me.
Repeat how you started that rant.
I'm turning 30.
Yeah, I'm at a point in my life where I'm turning 30 this year is how you started that rant.
Yeah.
We are recording this episode 3 days before my 30th birthday. Well, you don't turn 30 for another 6 months.
Sure.
7.
For me, 30 means no toxic. And they are toxic. So I just couldn't. I don't find them interesting. The scenes between them make me upset. I thought that I hated Sarah more. Like, I really, really strongly believed they ruined her character in this season for my first watch through. And I think I have different opinions on that now. But I don't think they're a more interesting couple. Are they more toxic? And could some people find that like you get drawn into it because it's just like so much? Yes, but they're not more interesting.
I don't get drawn into the toxicity. I don't even think that they are that much more toxic than Wille and Simone because Wille and Simone like don't even talk. Like all they ever do is argue and fuck.
That's true. That is true.
They're just like yearning gays and that's it. They don't like they're telling each other they love each other or they're making each other jealous with other people when like they've known each other a month. Like I would love to do a deep dive and like really evaluate it all, but I'm not going to because I am chewed off too much in my life. I think I agree with you that the first time I watched this, I thought they completely assassinated Sarah's character, and I really hated this for her, and I didn't hit as hard this time. But while August drags her down, she lifts him up
Mm-hmm.
character-wise. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he really does like her, and he really does care for her in a very flawed way, but you can see, like, in this episode, she tells him, I think it's in this episode or the next one, probably this one. She tells him to promise not to hurt her, and he immediately does without any like consideration, and they like hold their foreheads together in this sweet little moment. And
Mm-hmm.
I think watching their characters change and evolve as they have their little love story is very interesting to me. I
Mm.
don't have room in my personal life for toxicity, but I do on my screen.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
She's like,
Okay.
respectfully disagree. She
Yeah.
just wants me to stop talking about this.
No, not necessarily. I just, yeah, I don't think that I feel the same way. Though I did enjoy watching Sarah go through this more this time because, yeah, I think I just have a different opinion on it. And I think that it makes a lot of sense for an autistic character to make the choices that she made.
I think it makes a lot of sense, and I find it interesting that August likes her despite the fact that she's poor and he's very elitist, despite the fact that she is neurodivergent and he can be quite the judgmental, like, he's an asshole
Mm-hmm.
who really cares about wealth and status, and yet you can tell he genuinely has fallen for this girl that is kind of everything what he usually stands against.
Mm-hmm. I also feel like he's slightly using her. So I just like,
In what
I'm like,
way?
to get like inside information.
He never
Because
asks her, though.
yeah, but she offers it up and he uses that to his advantage. So I feel like he is getting things from her that is making him more interested in the relationship that I cannot fully believe that he has fallen for her.
Hmm.
Like I don't. That's not believable to me from what we've seen.
I think the other reason that I don't necessarily think that is that she is the main initiator of the entire relationship. She's
Mm-hmm.
always the one that comes to his place. She's always the one that wants sex or whatnot. He's the first person that starts confiding in anything real when he starts saying that he's in trouble with the royal family.
Mm-hmm.
I just think people aren't all good or all bad. But
Mm-hmm.
quotes.
Mm-hmm. When Billy shows up on Simone's porch step after that whole interaction, Ayub is like, did he just say he'd renounce his throne for you?
Which he didn't, technically, but he alluded to it.
Mm-hmm. He did.
And then in therapy, Ville says, I have to do it. They're counting on me. And the therapist says, who's they? And he says, Mama? Which
Mm-hmm.
that was interesting. Okay, episode 6.
Episode
Episode
6.
This one is a doozy, guys. A lot happens. So, first, they just hooked up. Simon leaves Ville's room and promises to call him after he's spoken to the police because that is his plan. And Alexander comes by August's room and he's like, hey man, come on in for a chat. We don't know what for, but we're about to find out. He texts Ville to come to talk to him about Simon.
Simone goes to see Marcus at work and asks to talk, and Marcus really has no time for Simone anymore. And Marcus pries and is like, is there anything going on with Ville? And Simone kind of opens up. He doesn't actually admit if anything's going on or not, but he's like, you know what? I told you straight up when we started that I was not ready for a serious relationship. And I feel like you forced me into something that was a little more serious than I was ready for. And Marcus kind of just like completely disregards Simone's feelings and is like, you know what? You're the one who's always victimizing yourself against your classmates, and you get off on the drama, and I want nothing to do with you. And that is the end of Marcus and Simone.
Hell yeah. August tells Ville that if Simon goes to the police, Alexander will confess that he's the one that posted the video because they can't prove that August posted it, only that it came from his phone. And Alexander is agreeing to go along with it because he knows that Wille framed him for the drugs and he's holding that against him and he has no survival instincts. And they throw in the fact that if Simon goes to the police, they can also tell the police about the drugs that he gave them because his dad's name is on the bottles.
Rousseau is getting loaded up into the trailer with his new owners, and they're kind of watching this. And after the trailer goes away and Sarah sits there and watches him, Felice opens up and just starts like saying all these crazy things to Sarah. It's every single lie she's ever told in her entire life.
Including that her uncle died of cancer.
Yeah. And Sarah's like, you really lied about that? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, that's fucked up. They promise no more secrets from now on. So Sarah uses this as her opportunity to tell Felice about August. And she's like, I'm in love with August. And Felice is really upset about this because she's like, he can't be trusted.
Yeah, she's like, it's not even that he's my ex, it's that he's a shit person. Wille tells Simon about August's plan, and they're immediately like, wait a second. Why does he even have a plan? Why does he even know that I was going to go to the police? So they start going on this rampage to find August, who's at the shooting range. And oh my God, guys, if you thought there was drama before, this scene is peak. He's at the shooting range, right? And he's like, don't get too close. I have a gun. And Wille's like, so do I, bitch. And picks up a gun from the ground and is telling him, like, to tell him who told him, and he won't say it. And Felice and Sarah walk up. Simon's already there. They're walking up from like the stables or something, and he's shouting at August to get on his knees, which he does. Has the barrel of this rifle or shotgun to his throat, like skin contact, and is shouting at him to tell him who told him. And he just glances at Sarah. August glances at Sarah, but doesn't say it. And I gotta say, kudos to my man there. But Felice sees it, and then Sarah is like, it was me. Like, I thought he was going to confess and go to the police. He said that before in the winter, and I thought I was going to give him another opportunity to do that, and he might do the right thing. And like, he really fooled me. Like, I really thought that he felt bad and he was trying to be a better person. And Simon's really upset. She apologizes to him. He storms off. Felice storms off because what the hell, Sarah? And Wille goes after Simon, and then Sarah is like telling August how disappointed he is, and he's like, you're like me, baby. We both know how hard it is to work for stuff that we need in life. And she's like, no, and also walks off, leaving August alone.
At home, Simone tells Ayub and Rosh that he doesn't even feel like he knows Sarah anymore, and Rosh and his mom suggest still going to the cops, but Simone is like, everyone's gonna protect their family first. And so he's like, then I will do the same.
Felice decides she's moving to another room in their manor, in their whatever. She's moving to another room, and the house mom shows up and is trying to like mediate a conversation between Felice and Zara, but she thinks it's just about a boy. And they're like, no, you don't understand. This boy is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
She's upset that Zara was not a loyal friend and that she made her feel bad about Rousseau this whole time, that she was doing this. And Zara is like, I've never been in love before and I didn't know. Like, I just went a little crazy. In the middle of the night, Felice leaves to go to sleep, but when she comes back in the morning, Sarah's stuff is gone.
As Sarah's walking to the bus stop with all of her stuff, August tries to stop her, but she ignores him until he literally like grabs her shoulder and tells her that he bought Rousseau for her because it's her dream. And she calls him clueless and walks away.
Queen
Good
shit.
on her. And then on the bus ride home, she calls the police station to report a crime.
It's Jubilee Day. The royal family's arrived at school. Simon grabs Wille to the side to talk to him. And he's like, you know what? I really want to be with you. Fuck August. But like, I want to be with you. It's always been you. Even if we have to be a secret, I love you. So finally, he says I love you, whereas he hadn't before. Wille had said it before. Remember it? Remember, guys, it's so cute. And they hug, and then Jan Olaf is like, Wille, it's time to go.
The choir is singing, and Wille is not sure that he can do the speech because he's sick to his stomach. And so they tell August he's up next. And right as they're introducing a change in plans and that August is going to speak, Wille decides to get up and give the speech, and he's doing it as rehearsed at the beginning. But right as he gets to the point about like the school's mission, it's very focused on like tradition and keeping tradition alive. He's like, fuck this. And he goes off script and he like questions the principle of focusing on tradition because that means that change is never going to happen and evolution is never going to happen. And then we see people from the media and from the school starting to like film him and bring out their cameras. He admits that it was him in the video with Simone. And then he turns back to the choir who's behind him and smiles at Simone, and they just like give each other hard eyes for 20 seconds. And then that is our end of season 2.
Whoo, baby!
Yeah.
Beefy episode.
Yes. And just like they really, I feel like, packed a lot into the first 3 episodes. And then the second half was a little lighter. And then episode 6, they were like, we are going to use every second of this 45 minutes.
Yeah, episode 5 felt like a little bit of a sleeper, and then episode 6 went off. They said but they did kind of wrap up everything that was going on, or at least progress it to a place where I wouldn't have been mad if it had ended, though I am glad we're getting a season 3, you know?
I agree. The writing on this show, actually, I feel like we could talk about maybe after the end of season 3, but they are very good at like not leaving a ton of loose ends completely untouched. Why wouldn't Simone remove the labels on the pill bottles before giving them to August? That's weird to me. Like, I know he's not a drug dealer, but I'm like, I feel like that's basic practice. You don't give someone drugs that have someone's name on it.
Yeah, one could say he's 15 years old and it's a real amateur move, and he is, in fact, an amateur drug dealer. However, I would be paranoid. I would see it on the bottle right before giving it and be like, absolutely not, and would take it off, you know?
Yeah, or transfer them into a different container. I don't know, something. I thought it was very strange because we have not seen this happen in the Forest Ridge house before, that Alexander is just casually knocking on August's door to tell him the time and the temperature.
I think we have seen it before. I don't know that it was Alexander, but I think it's a freshman duty that they have to go to the upperclassmen and like make sure they're awake by a certain time and tell them the temperature.
I hate that.
I mean, they have a lot of stuff like that. But yeah, I feel like we
have
it before.
smartphones.
Yes, we do.
Just check your smartphone.
But they're also making sure they're awake.
Yes, I guess.
I agree with this note you wrote. Marcus is so manipulative, and that you don't know how you didn't see it in your first watch through. I don't either. I love to see that the Marcus slander is so strong online, though. Like, everybody who watches
so
gets
strong.
it. Like, because he's so annoying. Like, he's so annoying. And it's not even that he's like, oh, is something going on between Simon and Ville? It's that when Simon goes to break up with him, Marcus is hurt because he hasn't heard from him in a couple of days, and he's clearly projecting. And I get it, he's only 18 years old as it is, but he is 18 years old dating a 15-year-old, so I already don't like him. And Simon's like, it's not you, like, you've been so good and so kind and so caring. And Marcus is like, and perfect, like, he calls himself perfect. He's like, just, I'm not a prince, and just like throws that at him. And it's just so rude.
It's very, very rude. It was really giving like
bitter.
Yeah, bitter, but also like, I really like you, and so I need you to like me just as much and more because I know that I'm treating you well, and therefore that means that you should like me. And it's like, that's just not how feelings work. Like, sometimes someone can treat you well and be very nice, but like, if there's not a connection there, there's not a connection.
Yes, he has been very entitled this whole time. From the first time that Simon tried ending things with him, and he was like, I know you don't want to give up on something this special. Baby, what's special about it? He told you he doesn't like you like that.
Yeah. And that he felt like they were rushing things, and still the amount of times in the second half that Marcus is like suggesting that they just like leave whatever they're doing, or instead of making plans to do something that Simone wants to do, that they just go over to his house to hang out. And Simone is clearly trying not to do that, and Marcus keeps suggesting it.
And he's suggesting it as a sleepover,
Mm-hmm.
which is moving a little fast. But I do want to ask, is there some truth? Because I couldn't tell. Like, the way that he ends that of like, you know what your problem is, you play the victim with all these rich brats, but really you lap up the drama, like you enjoy the drama. Like, is there some truth to that?
I think there's some truth in that, like, all teenagers get off on the drama a little bit because you don't have, like, the perspective and the life experience to, like, know how to handle tough problems and to communicate through tough problems. So instead, they just, like, escalate into drama, and that's what you kind of, like, fire off on. However, I don't think the whole, like, victimizing himself against his classmates, because his classmates are so much more privileged than him, that I'm like, no, in a lot of cases, like, he is having a harder time. He has a harder time doing the same tasks that his classmates have to do purely because he was not born into the same level of privilege that they were. So I don't think he's sitting here victimizing himself against them. I think that that is a very real thing he deals with that Marcus kind of just, like, diminished into a non-problem.
See, I kind of that's the part that I think I see more is the victimizing thing. Not that it's unjustified. I agree he comes from a place of far less privilege. He's a person of color, he's poor, and he's out as a homosexual at this like very
Mhm.
traditional school in Sweden. Like, yes, he has a much harder time, but I think every teenager and certainly every character in this show sees themselves as a victim of circumstance.
Sure.
Like, I think Ville does for sure.
Mhm.
I think Sarah does, that she doesn't have more, and so that's why she throws her fits and acts up. I think August does because he's trying to maintain these appearances that his family can't afford anymore. I think Felice is the most level-headed, but she
Yeah.
still sometimes is like, "Have you not thought about me and, like, my issues?" And
Yeah. Very, like, selfish decision making, which I feel like is very accurate for teenagers. I still just don't know if I thought it was appropriate for Marcus to bring up when, like, Simone
no.
was trying to very respectfully break things off. It just felt, yeah, like, inappropriate, especially as an 18-year-old. Like, you don't need to be telling Simone this.
Yeah, if it came from, like, Rosh or Ayub, I think we would
Mhm.
take it more seriously as a comment from their friends, like, when they were confused why he was trying to fight August
Mhm.
physically. Yeah, I definitely think that it's inappropriate after a breakup like that. Like, if there's a comment about how someone treated you in a relationship, that's one thing, but if you're gonna talk about their general mindset, like, if you really think that of Simone, then why did you like him, or did you like him?
Ex Exactly. You wrote, "Alexander has no survival instincts," which is completely true. We see him sit in that room while August is explaining the plan that he agreed to, and you can see Alexander's, like, wheels turning about, like, "Ooh, maybe I shouldn't have agreed to this," but, like, dude, you got yourself in this situation.
And for what? I understand being a bit petty, but you're not helping yourself by a agreeing to confess to a felony.
Yeah.
A felony. Distribution of child pornography.
Yeah. It's
And they're like,
crazy.
"Oh, you know, my lawyers have assured me that it's very unlikely that he does any time." And he's like, "Very unlikely is not impossible."
Yeah.
Please tell me about Felice's klepto phase because I clearly missed that subtitle.
Mm. When she's telling Sarah about all the lies she's ever told, or secrets she's ever kept, I guess is more what it was. She was like, "I recently went through a klepto phase. That mascara I got you for Christmas, I stole it."
That's cute.
She's not in a place where she should be stealing things because her family and herself can definitely afford them. However, I do think that is just, like, a very teenager thing too, especially with products that you're like, this is way too expensive for what it is. I'm just gonna take it.
I also think it's a bit of a common thing, or at least
Yeah.
in media, to portray, like, people who have the means to just steal it anyway. Like, the
Sure.
girl in Perks of Being a Wallflower that's, like, the wealthiest girl in the group, Alice, maybe,
Yeah.
that steals jeans from the mall religiously,
Mhm.
and they're, like, so proud when she pays for one.
Yeah, yeah.
I, for one, love how little the whole group reacts to Ville's absolute psychotic behavior with the gun.
Yeah.
He
It's
picks
like
this.
not okay. It's not okay that he did that.
Yeah, like he's raging. Like he's not really in
Yeah.
control. And he is holding a gun to the throat of someone else and telling him to get on his knees. Like, it's not okay.
Mhm.
But like it's kind of comedic as a viewer. And no one else is reacting. No one else is, they're like a little concerned when he's yelling at him to get on his knees. But
Mhm.
like Simone in particular is never like going to Rosh and Ayub right after this. He has that scene where he's like, yeah, we're not taking him to the cops. He doesn't mention that like my boyfriend put a gun to him.
Yeah. And like we see this part where like Billy has so much like emotion and anger built up towards August while he's holding this gun to his throat that he turns and he shoots off into the field and then brings the gun back. And it's like, you were so angry that you then felt that you also needed to pull the trigger, which makes the situation like it escalated it even higher. And no one really like, they did all have subtle reactions to this, but you're
They
like,
just flinch.
yeah, like I feel like people should be like freaking out, getting help, interfering. I don't know. Anything other than what they did is what the reaction should have been.
He also makes the comment that the royal family's good at cleaning up mistakes
Mm-hmm.
or accidents,
Mm-hmm.
implying that he's not above using this gun for what man intended when they made it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is just so truly psychotic.
Yeah.
Unhinged behavior. I loved every second of it. But yeah, we don't get Simone ever questioning if this should be a red flag. We don't get Felice being like,
Yeah.
yo, man, I hate August too, but like, please don't get locked up.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no conversation about the like traumatic and intense scenario that they all just went through.
and poor little August, like, yes, he's a shit human being, but this boy has been so anxious. He doesn't have the panic attacks. He has the drug addiction because he's trying, and the eating disorder and constant workout. And he's trying so hard to be perfect that he has a gun put to his throat and still manages to memorize this speech and perform better at the Jubilee than Ville does.
Mm-hmm.
He's like near-death experience and we move.
Mm-hmm.
It's nuts. It's nuts. It's bananas. Also, I do think, I don't know if you can correct me, but I feel like this is the only scene aside maybe from like a party, but
Yeah.
like, but maybe the only scene where we even see in shot all 5 of our main characters.
Yeah. I can't think of another, because yeah, party scenes, but I still don't even know if we see all 5 of them. Just like throughout the party, we may see all 5 of them split up, but all of them together in one shot, I do think this may be the only time.
Yeah, it was really interesting as it all came to a head.
Yeah, there's this cute scene of Ayub and Simone's friendship where they're on FaceTime with each other and it's nighttime and they're both in bed and getting a little sleepy. And they're like, 1, 2, 3, turn off the lights. And then they say goodnight and they turn off the lights together. And just like, I love friendship. That was adorable.
Yeah.
For male teenage
Yeah.
boy friendship to be portrayed like that, I really appreciate it in media.
Yeah, I do too. That they can be soft and care about each other and take care of each other. And Ayub's never like weirded out at all of doing these cute, intimate things with his homosexual friend.
Mm-hmm. It's very sweet.
I gotta talk about August again, okay? I'm obsessed with my man. He was looking kind of cute. And he sells one painting. One.
Mm-hmm.
He sells
Mhm.
one painting and
Mhm.
buys an entire fucking thoroughbred horse, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And yet he was stressing about tuition before and was all like not wanting to sell his inheritance. And we thought it was like the whole manor he was going to have to sell. No, clearly he could have sold a painting and paid
Mhm.
for his, it's only a semester that he was short. But
Mhm.
nah, he had to like wait and make the palace pay for it.
Well, I think they're painting. We knew he could have only sold a painting because his mom said that to him and was like, you can just sell a painting or two and pay for the tuition. So we knew he didn't have to sell that much stuff. I think what they're trying to say here is that like his want to stay at the school, which we knew was very, very strong, was not as much. It was not as large as his want to make Sarah happy. Like, I think that's what they're trying to show here. But I
Yeah.
do agree it is wild That it's like you couldn't pay for your tuition? Like, how many paintings you have? He probably has hundreds.
I understand that that's what they're showing, and that's part of my justification for finding their relationship interesting and fun to watch.
Mm,
Because you can say that you're not convinced he has feelings, but he sold off the one thing that he said he would never do to try
yeah.
to make her happy, misguided as it was.
Yeah.
I just think it's a little ridiculous that he wouldn't do that before.
Yeah. It's true.
He says, and I mentioned this before, that he and Saw are the same because they both understand how hard it is to get what they want. Thoughts? Do we have thoughts? Is this like gross misunderstanding of his privilege? Do you feel like, I mean, he does work really hard to maintain his appearances of wealth and status, I mean, not just his physical, and he works really hard to be like a good student and do everything, but it also feels very misguided and like you're really not understanding class and neurodivergence and all of that.
Yeah, I would say it's misguided because you just can't compare their life experiences. They're just completely different. To be like, we can relate on this one thing because we both understand how hard it is. It's like, well, no, because my how hard it is completely different than your version of how hard it is.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting that that seems to be what he likes so much about her. That's where he thought they had common ground. I just wanted to shout out, there's a chunk of scenes that we skipped in this summary because they can be summarized as they were in my notes as everyone is generally unwell.
Yep.
We see all 5 of our main characters just like sulking around.
Mm-hmm.
Not even in a montage. They each have their own scenes and they're all unwell. Why is the final scene so shiny?
What do you mean? I did not notice this.
The final scene where he's
Smiling at him?
yeah, where they're smiling and he's giving the speech. Sorry for the sirens, guys. It's like it feels lit and edited differently than the rest of the show. It's like they're almost glowing. It's like, I don't know, it feels shiny.
Huh. I did not notice. I want to go back and look at it.
Yeah. Just watch that scene. It's so dramatic. It's so dramatic. Save Seaman from the pajama pants. He was wearing them again in this episode.
The pajama pants really bother you.
Yeah, because it's always the same pair.
But what if Homeboy just wants to be comfortable? He might have like 3 pairs of the same type.
It's cold out. Is he not cold?
That's true. It does look cold.
And he's dating a prince publicly now. I want him to look good.
Sure.
I was really amused that as soon as Wille starts going off track with the speech, talking about like traditions sometimes lead us to keeping secrets from each other and blah, 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 they flash to like the faculty and you see the school psychologist there and he's just like biting his nails, like clearly enjoying the drama because he can see it coming.
Yeah. He's like, I helped with this.
This is my doing.
Yeah. Amanda briefly noted this, but during the whole really intense and unhinged gun scene, Wille does have a quote where he says, "The royal family's damn good at covering up accidents, right, August?" As he's holding the gun to him, which it's like not okay on many levels, but as Amanda said, as a viewer, for some reason is slightly comedic. And that is one of those moments. And I'm not saying it's appropriate for us to find it comedic, but it just was.
I mean, he's referencing how August leaked the video and they covered that up as well. So it's like not unjustified, but like don't hold a gun while you say it. Don't hold a gun. Don't do it.
But you're implying that murder
Yeah.
is an accident. Like, I don't know. It's just not okay.
Yeah.
There's a little like photo shoot before the Jubilee, and Wille's being his normal, like sulky, like stone cold, not really smiling face self. And August is like cheesing it up the entire time during the photo shoot. And while he's doing that, Vincent walks by and goes, "Call me." I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, August was lapping it up on his shit when everyone was arriving for the Jubilee.
Mm-hmm. He was eating it up.
He's a professional.
Yeah.
That's my man. Any other final thoughts about the series this season?
I feel like they gave drama in season 1 and we're like, we have to double it for season 2, which makes me nervous about season 3. But I think all in all, it puts us in an exciting place for season 3. I think there's a lot of potential on different things they could do. But yeah, doing the rewatch, I feel like I enjoyed season 2 more during the rewatch than I did the first time I watched it.
Nice. I want to say we've mentioned repeatedly that we didn't realize how bad Marcus was the first time. We thought he was a good guy, and we were just annoyed that he was blocking the way to Ville. So that's been surprising. What we didn't mention on the podcast is that neither of us remembered the gun scene.
No.
Like, as huge and dramatic as it is, we both remembered it when looking for memes online.
We were collecting Young Royal memes, and both of us saw a lot of them are around the gun, and we were like, oh yeah, that happened. I'm interested to get to that part of season 2. But even watching it, I was like, yeah, I totally blacked this out of my brain as something that happened in the show.
And it's kind of funny because the first time we see Ville at the shooting range, I was like, am I the only one that was like a little nervous he was gonna point the gun at Marcus?
Yeah.
And like, actually.
Yep. Just wait. Episode 6 comes in hot.
Yeah, and that's the same little dramatic boy who was smiling in the shower and wrapping himself in lights in season 1. And he's like, Ville's so weird.
Yeah.
The one that squatted on his table while talking on the phone.
With the queen. With the queen.
Screens calls from the queen.
Yeah. And I think while he was squatting, he also was yelling that she was ruining his life.
Yeah. What predictions do you have for season 3? We've seen the trailer. The trailer looks really good, but it's not really giving much away in terms of plot.
I don't know what I have for predictions. I was hoping.
What would you like to see? Yeah.
Yeah. I was hoping for some really cheesy, cute, lovely moments of Simone and Ville actually being able to be out together.
That's so cute and funny.
And maybe like some scenes of like royal family dynamics on like how they handle this, because now they're going to have to own it. They can't cover it up anymore. It's out, so they're going to have to own it. So how are they going to do that? The trailer just seems like it's giving drama, which what did I expect? But I'm like, can we balance it with some just like cute, sweet, lovely moments? I would like to see their relationship be more than just like hooking up in anger.
It does seem like there's some sweet moments that are soft of them like at the lake together and a party scene. And it looks like we might get Frederica and Stella together. Yeah, I would like to see them happy. Of course I would. The big questions are definitely, do you think Ville and Simon will end up together? Do you think Sarah and August will end up together? And do you think Ville will abdicate or stay with the throne?
I think Ville and Simone will end up together. I do not think Sarah and August will end up together, but I would like to see some sort of something for Sarah. I think he's going to abdicate.
You do?
Yeah, what do you think?
I don't know. I'm on the fence. I've heard people say like that's so pointless then, because like what was the whole point of making him crown prince? But I do kind of like the idea of it being full circle. But if I don't think I can see him abdicating, because if he abdicates, August takes the throne, and I think that would really upset him. Like the way that he stood up and did the speech at the end of the 6th episode, it was like he was too sick to do it. But then as soon as he saw August getting introduced, he was like, actually, fuck him. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry. That's so funny. That's such a cute, like, oh my God, what a novelty. Really? Oh my God, but I can so imagine in the drama a conversation of Simon like blaming him for coming out and being like, it's too much drama and like attention, and like, why did you have to tell everyone that we were together? And it's like I just feel like that's gonna come, even though he's the one that wanted him to own up to it the whole time.
I guess we'll see. Do you have any other predictions for season 3?
I do think they'll end up together.
Okay.
Whether it's for sure or heavily implied. And I would love to see something lovely about Felice.
Yeah, me too.
Some people want her and Sarah to get together. I don't think I see that, but I want something lovely for her.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see something lovely for Sarah. I would like to see something lovely for Felice.
Everyone else is whatever.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Up next, we're going to do season 3. I don't think we've mentioned yet, but that is the final season of Young Royals. So this is going to be it after this for the show. So we're very, very, very excited for that to come out and to chat about it with all of you. As always, you can follow us on our social media at 90s Babies Nostalgia. Spell out the word 90s on YouTube and Instagram, but use the numbers on TikTok. Please, 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 if you have a moment, give us 5 stars and rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And with that, we'll see you in the next one.
Stay fruity. Bye.
Bye.